said, I'm doing this full-time, which means that I've stepped away from my position as a Deputy Chief with the New York State Attorney General's Office Special Investigations and Prosecutions Unit. I did that because I'm committed to the cause. I'm committed to making change in Queens County. I'm running in this race because of people who support me and the change that needs to happen, people like Milton Flores. And I want to thank Milton for putting this together and being a brother to me and being a friend to me. I'll always be grateful to all the things that you've done for me and my family. I want to thank you. Okay. But why am I running for Queens DA? I'm running for Queens DA because I want to make a fair, just, and equal criminal justice system for all Queens. For every community in Queens, no matter where you land on the map, that's why I'm running for Queens. I want to bring progressive values like Milton has stated. I want to bring values like bail reform. I want to keep the Rikers Island. I want to reduce the population of Rikers Island. How do you stop mass incarceration? You stop mass incarceration by diverting people away from incarceration, not criminalizing addiction, not criminalizing poverty, like prosecuting low-level offenses like fare beats, not prosecuting criminal possession of marijuana when in 12 months, there's going to be legalization of the substance. And that's how you stop mass incarceration. You stop mass incarceration by not causing poor people, people without the funds, to be in jail for no other reason than because they cannot pay for their freedom. Yeah. That is an injustice, and I can't imagine that continuing, and that will not continue when I'm DA. And what will also not continue is that tactics of where the DA's office uses its position and its power to gain leverage against the person who's accused of a crime. That has to stop. We can't do that. DAs are ministers of justice. DAs are ministers of justice. We have to make sure that the system is fair, has integrity, and is always equal to whomever gets before it, stands before it. And the only way you do that is if you allow information to flow. As district attorney, I will have a complete exchange of information, complete open file discovery. And this is not something that's new and innovative. This is something that's happening throughout the country. I have been a prosecutor for over 18 years. I've prosecuted in the federal system. I've prosecuted cases in state law, in state local courts, in the military with my good friend Milton. And it was always been the case that we gave over information. Because when you share information between the judge, the defense counsel, and the prosecutor, you make a fair system. And you prevent injustices. There should not be one exoneration and release in our system. When someone is proven to be innocent, having already been convicted of a crime and having done time, years of their life in jail, that's an injustice, and we have to protect against that injustice. And the only way we can protect against that injustice is we make a fairer system. The fairer system is making sure everybody works together to make justice happen. We share information. We end the pressure tactics of pre-indictment pleas on a grander scale, forcing individuals to waive their right, their constitutional rights, before they even see a stitch of evidence, as Mr. Ullman said tonight, and before they even have a clear understanding of what the charges will be on an indictment that goes forward. That's not justice. That's not an equal system. That's not a fair system. It's not a fair system when you're causing a person who's new to the country, who's a recent immigrant, and you're not evaluating their immigration status. That's not fair, because you can't treat people equally when one person who gets convicted of misdemeanor gets deported, gets taken away from their family, and is not returned to their loved ones. What happens there? When a U.S. citizen gets convicted for the same offense, yes, they had their mark with a criminal conviction, but they don't get pulled away from their community. They don't get pulled away from their family. Their family may not lose their only breadwinner in the family. Their family may not fall into poverty or financial hardship. You have to consider that. Treating everybody equally also means treating everybody fairly. And taking those collateral consequences into consideration is key. And that's what I'll do as district attorney, because for me, It's about learning what the community is. Not just looking at the case and saying, okay, traditionally as a prosecutor, we would look at a case and we would say, what are the charges and how much time can we get? Those days are over. Now we have to look at the case, see what the charges is, see what the misconduct is. But then we have to see what the circumstances of the defendant are. Then we have to see what the impact on the community is with regards to what happens with the case. When you do that, you have a whole view of what to do with a case. And when you're ignoring that, you're only seeing part of the picture. When the DA doesn't look at recidivism and looking at reducing recidivism, he misses a huge part of public safety. Public safety is preventing people from committing crimes again and again and again. How do you reduce recidivism? You reduce recidivism by bringing support networks for individuals who are incarcerated and come back to the community. It's one thing to hold people accountable, but when you have somebody incarcerated for a year, 2 years, or whatever many years you have them in, and you release them out to the community, now you're responsible for what they do. If you don't give them the opportunity, the services, the support structure to succeed, you're guaranteeing that individual from success. You're guaranteeing that individual to commit more crimes. And that's not public safety. You can't throw people away and expect them to just change their lives because they're out of jail. You have to help them. You have to give them access to financial institutions. You have to give them IDs. You have to help them develop housing opportunities, economic opportunities. And then when they can, they reintegrate into the community and they become a positive force in the community. That's how you reduce crime. That's how you promote public safety. Because you cannot incarcerate the large population of a large section of the population indefinitely. That doesn't happen. People have to come out, and when they come out, they need the help that the DA's office can provide them. And how do we provide that help? We provide that help by using the funds that we get as district attorneys and invest into programs and invest into the network where we help people and divert them from the criminal justice system. There's so many ways, and this is a new way of thinking, but there is so many ways to hold somebody accountable other than incarcerating. When you have populations that are at risk, such as you have people with mental illness, you have the youth, you have individuals, veterans who have come back from serving their country in Afghanistan and Iraq and come back with PTSD. You have individuals who are addicted to opioids and other drugs. These are individuals that you need to divert from the criminal justice system when they commit low-level crimes. You need to get them the services they need to address the underlying issues. And then they're going to be able to go on with their lives, rehabilitate themselves, and become productive members of their society. When you do that, then you close Rikers Island. Because when you reduce the population of Rikers Island, then you can close it. Otherwise, what are we doing? What is the mayor's plan going to bring? The mayor's plan is going to bring 5 different buildings holding 5,000 people. That doesn't change anything. It should just change where they sit. What we need to do is reduce the population of our incarcerated, divert people from incarceration, making sure we deal with their underlying issues, making sure we deal with how to rehabilitate them and make them productive members of society. And then we go after the real criminals. We go after violent crime. We go after individuals who are drug trafficking, drug dealing out there, trafficking drugs, filling our communities with drugs and guns and weapons. Those are the individuals that need to be held in incarceration for as long as as the law allows. The individuals that commit murder, rape, assault, they're the public safety issue. And when you have an office with the office of the district attorney does not have limitless resources. We have a very limited budget. We have a very limited amount of district attorneys, a very limited amount of investigators. You have to conserve resources. You have to focus your resources. That's where I'm going to focus my resources. It's not going to be focusing resources on trying to criminalize poverty, trying to get the individual who jumps the train stop, trying to get to work because he can't afford the fare. That's not where my DAs are going to focus. My DAs are going to focus on reducing crime. I'm making sure the gun violence that we see in our communities comes to an end. I'm making sure that the predators, the sexual predators that assault our children. I got skin in the game. I got skin in the game because I have a beautiful daughter that's 16 years old, and I have a great son that's 13 years old. And want my society, I want my queens to be safe. I want my queens to be safe for my children, because if that's the community that I have for myself, that's the community I can share with everybody else. And it really heartens me, and it comes home, and it hits home. You know, for me, it really is about protecting the families and protecting the residents of Queens from violent crime, and not engaging in these other practices that for years, all we've been doing is just putting poor people, brown people, black people in incarceration, and tagging them with criminal convictions. So now they can't go to school, they can't get housing, they can't get economic empowerment. And it hasn't done anything for society. It hasn't done anything for our communities. We have to stop that, and we have to start trying to be a gatekeeper of who gets help and who doesn't. If you need help, you get help. At my DA's office, if there's an issue and you need help, you get help. It's not, maybe that person, but not this person. For whatever reason, that's not going to be the case anymore. It's going to be, if you need help, you get help. And if veterans need help, they're going to get the help they need. And that's so important to me, and that's what I'm about, and that's why people like my good friend Milton are supporting me, and that's why when I go to fundraisers, I see defense counsels, I see legal aid attorneys, I see prosecutors, as well as individuals who have been subjected to the criminal justice system. They're here to help. They're here because they believe in the cause, and because they believe, I'm willing to take the risk. I'm willing to put myself out there and make sure this happens. And you all came tonight, and I know I still have to earn your vote. I still have to earn your support, and I want to do that. And that starts today. And on September 10th of this year, I hope to be the next Queens District Attorney. Thank you. Yay.